Taliban bans women's education. Now, the Taliban has officially announced the suspension of women's education in Afghanistan. Taliban has announced the closure of universities for women in Afghanistan. This is according to a letter by the Taliban's higher education minister. The letter states that all universities will remain closed for women until further notice. Top sources in Taliban told CNN News18 that this ban is temporary and they will come back with new curriculum soon. Protest has started in Kabul last evening after this announcement. Earlier, Taliban had banned secondary education also. Now, to give us more details on this, I am being joined live by my colleague Abhishek Jha. Abhishek, further gags on women's freedom?
Of course, and this is not the thing that was not being expected, because initially, ever since Taliban has came into power in Kabul and almost all of Afghanistan, they have tried to increasingly ban women's participation in social arena. That includes education, because that is one of the most important area. Initially, they barred women from going to colleges. Then they separated, boys students from girls students. The classes continued. It was always a hiccup. It was always difficult for women to attend classes. In fact, in various rural areas of Afghanistan, women were barred from having even primary education. So there were multiple type of prohibition imposed on women education in Afghanistan. But now, with the latest dictate that has come from the Afghanistan's official minister, it looks like the total blanket ban has been imposed on women education, and it is coming at a time when world is increasingly integrating women workforce in its prosperity, in its development, and Afghanistan, which is dealing with a lot of economic crisis and social crisis, at this time it is trying to prohibit 50% of its population from becoming part of its mainstream growth, is something that is not going to do well to the Afghanistan economy and its social milieu.
Abhishek, the last time on such a clampdown was imposed, we saw some protests happening. This time on, what is the reaction that's coming forth?
So there has always been protests. In fact, we have seen how women, like even in small groups, they tried to come on streets and protest to Afghanistan. They stood guard to colleges and students and schools. They tried to protect their rights, even in the thrashing, in the face of thrashing and beating from Afghan soldiers and their recruits. But it looks like that now Afghanistan, when they have total control of the territory, and they have started imposing their brutal and ruthless ruling, not much of the protests could be seen on the streets, because they are literally taking people, detaining them. People are disappearing because of protests and the rights that they demand from the Afghan's current government, that is Taliban rulers. So maybe not that much of protest, but yeah, internationally it has invited a lot of condemnation, including from United Nations and including USA. So, like, while international agencies and countries would continue to work towards humanitarian aid and assistance to the people of Afghanistan, women and girls of Afghanistan, education is something that the government and the local authorities in Afghanistan will have to ensure. And if they try to bring a law where women are not allowed to attend schools, then probably not much can be done by the international agencies or outside forces in Afghanistan.
Well, this indeed is grave situation emerging in India's neighborhood. Abhishek, if I may request you to continue to be with us, there's some more breaking news that's coming in now. Now, India on women's rights issue in Taliban, we hear Ruchira Kamboj, who's the permanent ambassador of India to the United Nations at UNSC, briefing on Afghanistan. She says concerns have also been expressed on the further erosion of human rights, including the rights of women and girls, as well as the lack of progress on inclusive governance. India also raised an alarm over relations between Taliban and Al-Qaeda remain close and is underscored by the presence both in Afghanistan and in the region. Concerns have been expressed that the group has reversed policies and gone back on commitments made prior to assuming the power. Now, Abhishek continues to be with us. Abhishek, this is India registering some strong protest about the developments in Afghanistan.
Yeah, Vinaya, and everything that happens in Afghanistan is a concern to India because everything that is bad in Afghanistan society will spill over in some time, and it will start impacting Indian territories as well. We can talk about terrorist organization, radicalization, the kind of society that Taliban wants to create, where women are not allowed to participate in the social activities. This whole radicalization and harboring of terrorist organization and individuals is something that India is very concerned about. It has raised this issue in past also, and now with Taliban increasingly coming out with their strong uh, radical and Islamist, so-called Islamist way of ruling in Afghanistan, it is a clear concern that the soil of Afghanistan will now be a very safe haven for various terrorist organizations that have been operating across the globe, especially Al Qaeda, which has had a very close linkage with Taliban in the past. But this time around, Taliban has been trying to distance itself from any global organization of which is involved in terrorist activities. They have tried to, uh, you know, express a face where they try to become a Taliban, a little modernized, little moderate, and with inclusive also. But with each passing day, it is actually unmasking itself and bringing out its worst fear of in its neighborhood, where people had always anticipated that Taliban had not changed fundamentally. They remain the same. They are same radical, fundamentally regressive uh, uh, group of people and clerics who would try to repress uh, society and rights of women. And there will never be an inclusive society as long as Taliban is at the seat of Kabul, and terrorist organization will continue to flourish in part of Taliban, Afghanistan, and Pakistan's border. And that remains a key concern, a security concern for regional parts or countries in the region, including India.
Well, Abhishek, this will also possibly have long-term impact on the relations between Afghanistan and India.
So India has not officially opened its embassy. India has not officially opened its diplomatic ties with Afghanistan's current ruler, that is Taliban. However, India maintains a goodwill with the people of Afghanistan. So the humanitarian aid and assistances, supplies, wheat supplies, medicine supplies, and students exchange programs is something that India continues to do with the people of Afghanistan. So if you talk about long-term relations, so the people of Afghanistan continues to look up to India. They continue to look India as a friend. But the Taliban regime, which has expressed their desire also to have a good relation with India as a neighboring country, does not give enough of confidence to the government that they have changed or they will remain as a diplomatically very smart governance system. And probably their linkages of terror and their history of past stops India from believing them. And so far, there has not been any official diplomatic ties that has established with the Taliban. In fact, Taliban has not got legitimacy from any country across the globe. There have been embassies operating in Afghanistan because of the people-oriented work that many countries have in Afghanistan. But to have them legitimacy at some level at the World Forum, Taliban needs to do a lot more. But with this kind of recent dictates where they have tried to stop women from participating in the education system, is something Taliban is not even they are trying to get legitimacy from the other part of the world.
Well, Abhishek, if I may request you to continue to stay with us, there's some more breaking news that's coming in now. The US condemns Taliban's indefensible decision to ban women from universities, to keep secondary schools closed, and to girls to continue to impose other restrictions on women and girls in Afghanistan to exercise their human rights and fundamental freedoms. US State Department spokesperson Ned Price said in a statement that Taliban's decision to close secondary schools to girls last March has had a significant impact on our engagement with Taliban representatives. Taliban made promises to the people of Afghanistan and to international community that schools would reopen. Now, to get us more details on this, Abhishek Jha continues to be with us on the bulletin. Abhishek, that's a strong statement coming in from the US government now.
Yes, Vinaya, and also we'll have to see that these statements are coming at a time when Taliban is starting doing all that it was anticipated or people were fearing of that Taliban will start doing this thing. Uh, there were a lot of opinion and experts try to allay those fears of Taliban and saying that let them have another chance. Maybe Taliban have changed. Taliban the 2-0 have little moderate views on the fundamental aspect of his theology and ideology. But it looks like with almost more than 1 year being there in Kabul, Taliban is strictly trying to implement what it was fundamentally an organization of very conservative theories and conservative concepts regarding society and how it should operate. While it is having a relation with some countries in the region, these issues of women education, issues of minority communities, issues of non-inclusive government that Taliban is currently boasting, and discriminatory ways of dealing with people, their primitive way of punishing people, law and justice system, everything is very sham. And with the United States also saying that the decision of not letting women have education is an indefensible decision. In what context or with what logic could you define that 50% of the population will not be allowed to have education or equal participation in any social activity? So while the world, like, there is no country in the world which stops women and not let them have education except Taliban that is sitting in India's neighborhood. So it's clearly a security challenge that is emerging in this region. And while it was always feared that Taliban has not changed, it is now proving India's apprehensions right that Taliban has not changed. It is the same fundamentally conservative group of people who tries to impose their very law where social discrimination will continue to remain as we are witnessing right now.
Abhishek, clearly there's a lot of concern about the developing situation right now. India has expressed concern. US has also issued a statement. Has any other country issued a statement, or do we expect anything in the coming few days?
So it has yesterday late evening, this hit from Taliban has come. United Nations Security Council has already reacted because India, as a president, has also raised this issue at that forum because it concerns not only the regional security but the rights of almost 3 crore women who live in Afghanistan, women and girls who live in Afghanistan. There is an abject poverty that has followed ever since Taliban has taken over Kabul and they are ruling Afghanistan. Women used to be a earner, breadwinner of their families. They used to getting education. They used to study medicine, engineering, and all sort of social area were open for them. And now with the last 1 year of repressive regime in Afghanistan, it looks very a bleak chance for women to get participation and their equal rights in the society. So these are the issues that India has also raised, USA has also raised, and we can expect that other European countries and global human rights watchdogs or agencies will also have condemnation for such decision of Afghanistan, and they will issue their opinion regarding this very soon.